Okay, Boker Tov. Again. We know that the prohibition of Chametz on Pesach has certain unique features. It's a very, very severe prohibition in the Torah for a person to consume Chametz on Pesach. That means to actually eat it. But unlike other types of ma'achalot asurot, prohibited foods, with the exception of basar v'chalav, milk and meat, Chametz is also prohibited in any sort of benefit, any sort of pleasure, or any sort of enjoyment. A person is not allowed to have any Chametz. Because we find that Chametz is so severe in the Torah, therefore we find many minhagim, very, very holy and precious minhagim amongst different communities, to distance ourselves from even the suspicion of Chametz. And that's why when it comes to, let's say, eating rice on Pesach, certain Sephardic communities that eat rice, such as the Bukharian community, the Syrian community, other Middle Eastern communities, they have the minhag of checking the rice 3 times before they eat the rice, in order to ensure that there's no grain, there's no possible grain which might have become Chametz amongst the rice. Other communities, like the Moroccan community, refrain from rice altogether. Things like legumes, beans, also the kitniyot, there are different customs regarding whether or not people eat those. That varies from community to community. Chametz sometimes comes up in unexpected places. We mentioned you're not allowed to have any benefit from Chametz, and therefore you have to be careful. If a person has a pet, a lot of times commercial pet food can contain Chametz. And therefore, if you buy that pet food, even though of course the person is not eating it, but he's giving it to his pet to consume, so he's benefiting from the Chametz, and therefore a person does have to check. There's so many good and reliable listings nowadays of products that are acceptable for Pesach. One of the things a person should check is, even pet food, make sure that there is no Chametz in the pet food, otherwise it will be considered benefit. When it comes to medications, obviously if a person is on a life-saving medication, he does not stop taking that medication, he should be in consult with his physician and with the Rav to see if there is an alternative that has no Chametz. Things like this have to be considered. Cosmetics usually are not edible, and therefore, with the exception of things like lipstick or chapstick, toothpaste, which poskim say should have a special certification for Pesach, because you do consume them somewhat, but other things like that, such as a nail polish or perfume, does not have to be kosher for Pesach. Why? Because it's not even edible bichlal. It's not something which is available for consumption. Therefore, it's not a problem. The chametz that's in there is already no longer at the point where a person or even a dog would be able to consume it, and therefore it's not considered a problem. Like I said, toothpaste, dish soap, poskim do recommend that should have special certification for Pesach. So again, person should be careful not to have any benefit from chametz, whether it comes in the form of pet food or other things. When it comes to cosmetics, where the chametz is already processed before it's no longer edible by even a pet, it will be permitted. And each community should follow their particular stringencies and customs when it comes to checking things like rice and beans for Pesach. Make sure there is no chametz whatsoever. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akasha omer, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל ולפיכך הרבה להם תורה מצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפץ מצדקו יגדל תורה וידין. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועל מה יברך קילותיו